Hi, I'm Danny with Tri-Point Refrigeration. Today we're going to talk about some of the tools that we use in the air conditioning and refrigeration world. We're going to start off with the torch. So in commercial refrigeration and air conditioning, we have to weld all of our copper lines so that we can have a sealed system for our refrigerant. So one of the tools that we use is the torch. I am particular to the oxyacetylene torch. I use a handle with a rosebud tip, and people give me hell about this all the time, but I weld everything with the rosebud. Everything from 1'3", 1'5", even 4" copper with bigger rosebuds, of course, all the way down to cap tubes. So this is the torch tip that I've always used for 20 years. Then we have our oxygen and we have acetylene. The gauge here on the right tells us how much oxygen and acetylene is in the bottle, and then the gauge on the left tells us how much we're feeding. As a tip, I like to set my oxygen when I'm using it. So when it's running, when it's on, the gauge is sitting about 20. And for my acetylene, when it's running and it's on, I like so that the gauge is sitting about 7. So one of the things about the torch that I think is really important is when people use the torch, I've seen a lot of technicians and they'll start with just the acetylene. So when you take just acetylene, you turn it on and you light it, you get this flame, but you get all this black smoke. And a lot of times we're welding inside buildings, we're welding inside cabinets and different things like that. That black smoke will get all over the place and it'll get on a drop ceiling and you can see all of the soot from the black smoke. And I don't like that. What I find the best way for me is I give myself a little bit of acetylene and then a little bit of oxygen so that when I start my torch, I get no black smoke. The next thing is the torch tip that I'm looking for. So if I increase the amount of acetylene, increase the amount of oxygen, and I get this flame right here, this is called a neutral flame. This flame is great for burning holes in copper. It's great for very precise heat that doesn't spread very easily. We've also got the carburizing flame. So the carburizing flame gives me a little bit of a feather like this. The carburizing flame is what I like to use because it evenly heats the pipe a little bit better and allows my solder to flow around the copper more evenly. When I shut my torch off, I always shut off acetylene first and then oxygen. Again, because if I shut off oxygen first, then I get the black soot from the acetylene and it gets in the air, and again, it can get on drop ceilings or in cabinets and it makes things nasty. So that's the torch. Another thing that you're going to notice about this torch setup, and again, this is my torch setup, is the torch tip. It's at a 90-degree angle. And to my knowledge, you cannot buy a torch tip at a 90-degree angle. Most torch tips you buy are at this weird angle. And so you can see here the angle of the torch tip. So when I buy my torch tips, the first thing I do, I pull them out of the package and I bend them down to a 90-degree angle. And I guess the question is, why do I do that? Well, we're going to talk about that on another video where we actually talk about how to properly solder copper. So stay tuned to that video and we'll show you how to do that. If you have any questions, again, I'm Danny with Tri-Point Refrigeration. We're located in Hutto, Texas and Lubbock, Texas. Our phone number is 512-651-4565, or you can visit us online at tripointrefrigeration.com.